hello, and welcome back to another edition of the Deconstruction Junction podcast with Dr. Flo and Tara Priolo. I'm Dr. Flo, online coach and mentor, guide, and guru of dreams. Bold dreamers, step forward. I only want to talk to you. You can learn more about my work at lovedandlovable.org, askdrflo.com, and lovecityarts.net. And the giggly princess in Minnesota today.
I'm giggling because I thought you were going to say, like, instead of guru, I thought you were going to say Gru, like Despicable Me Gru. And I was like, what the heck? Because then I was just picturing, like, Steve Carell with the super long legs and the big belly and the whole 9 yards.
Isn't he like the villain, though?
No, well, yes, but also no. Have you never seen Despicable Me? I feel like you would like the Minions.
Love the Minions. I use them a lot in my GIF responses to people, but I just think they're cute. I don't really know that much about them.
There's a Minion named Dave, and he's my favorite. So if that flares, his name is Dave, and I just think it's funny that his name is Dave, and he's silly. So
I love it. Introduce yourself to the people, and while I share this out across the platforms.
Will do. Hello, all. I'm Tara Priolo. I am your resident Black, biracial, multi-passionate musician. I'm trying to find a new word for that because apparently it's confusing to people. But oh well. I talk about the ish that nobody wants to talk about and push you to do the same. I also help you make the intangible tangible by releasing the entanglements that you've placed upon your capital V voice. Amen. Amen. I am I used to have this, this just ran across my noggin, y'all. I used to have this hashtag that said starting movements. And what I was going to say here was that I have a lot of things going on. I do not have 3 websites, but I do have one for you, tarapriolo.com/links, where you can find all of the things, even though it needs to be simplified and many things need to be updated. But don't worry about that. You just go there and you can click and find your way around. Okay. But there are a lot of things going on. And so make sure that you are following both Love and Action Network, Ask Dr. Flo, and Tara Priolo Studio on the platforms to see what is going on. Also, if you've been watching the last few weeks, few months, you know that I am pregnant. Therefore, I will be going on maternity leave very soon, in fact, at the end of June. And we are going to need a co-hosty host for this particular podcast. And we would love to have you. We would love to have someone on here prior to July so we can just test you out. So if you're interested in that, go to lovedandlovable.org and fill out an intake form or live chat us, and we will get you in the contribution collaborator space for that exchange. But we would love to have you there, and you will see in a second that there's a slide where your name can go there. You can also come and join and be on any type of podcast if you want to be interviewed by Dr. Flo, if you have just a story to share, if you want to be part of the global contribution. There's lots of ways to get involved into our podcasting, which has over 900 episodes, and good viewership. Okay, good viewership. So your name can go where the Love in Action logo is. Yeah, did I miss anything?
Great opener. We are here to encourage the encouragers and to uplift the uplifters and to talk about the things that perhaps many of you in your local communities are struggling to talk about. I hear from people every week in the network that they wish they had community members that lived in their zip codes and people in their families who wanted to say the quiet parts out loud. And today we're going to be doing that. And I hope that this podcast continues in are we in our 3rd year of this particular iteration of this? Hoping our 3rd. Yeah, we've been slapping our jaws for 5 years total across platforms, we thought that it would be a great idea to allow space for what we talk about amongst ourselves to get some air. Because when we show boldness, when we show confidence, when we show courage in the world, it empowers other people to do the same. And so, whether it's 5 people watching, or 1 person watching, or 5,000 people watching, hopefully you will feel empowered to lift your voice in your community as well, because it just takes one pebble on the pond to create mighty ripples. And that's what we're doing today. Tara's up first with her first topic.
As always, what in the world? Okay, y'all. This I feel like is okay. I almost didn't bring this because I feel that it's being very fear-mongery at the moment, and also bringing up people's unhealed trauma from COVID. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna wade lightly as I can into this particular topic. And I just need you all to remember that as bad as they're trying to make it, it's not COVID again yet. Okay? So just take a breath with me, and then we're going to talk about it. Okay? We're going to talk about hantavirus. All right. We can click to the next slide. I'm going to give you the most up-to-date information. I'm going to be one of those TikTokers. Where's my microphone? All right, here's my microphone. we got to make it big. This morning, the WHO says that Swiss authorities have confirmed a case of hantavirus identified in a passenger from the MV Hondius ship. He had responded to an email from the ship's operator informing the passengers of the health event, and presented himself to a hospital in Zurich, Switzerland, and is receiving care. The other thing that you need to know is that they have discovered that this is, in fact, the human-to-human strain, which is very contagious, apparently, and also rare. So it is the Andes hantavirus, as confirmed by some authority this morning. And also, I think 3 people have died on this cruise, and this cruise is like stuck out in the middle of nowhere because they won't let people get off, which is very smart, because this may spread. Although they did let one of the people who died, who was a 70-year-old man, and his wife get off, and now they're doing contact tracing in South Africa and the other places. They're contact tracing everyone that was on the plane with the wife. Okay. Apparently, this particular virus has a 35 to 45% death rate. Okay. Which, just to put it in perspective, friends, COVID had something like a 0.08% death rate. So concerning, okay, but also not every passenger on the cruise is sick. Okay? This is my microphone. I told you I'm gonna be a TikToker right now, okay? I'm gonna be the TikTok newscaster. You know how to do it. Wait, I got a beater. Here we go. Okay, so I just need to remind you all. I saw somebody do like a six videos yesterday. Like, this is episode 5 of 6 on the hantavirus. But like, once again, I feel like we're being very fear-mongered right now, and like we're very scared of COVID happening again and it getting closed off, etc. Personally, I think that COVID could have been more of a reset than it was. And I know we all have trauma from that experience. However, it is 6 years later, and these capitalists are still asking people to come back in the office so that you can't poop and pee without them knowing. Okay? So Okay, I don't want a whole bunch of people to die. I really don't. Although it might save us from Mother Nature, who's going to kill us anyway. Um, but that's the update on hantavirus on the ship that is in the middle of nowhere, that they're not allowing people to get off. Okay. How do you
What's
feel about
wild?
hantavirus?
What's wild is that um, there are people who are saying that the ship should be blown up in the ocean. There are people saying that we need to, like, someone had like a finger on it trying to push it under the
I
water.
saw that one.
Um, I know we all are concerned about our mortality. You don't want it to get out of control. I'm very interested in knowing how it starts in rodents and ends up in humans.
I just saw a post about that from the WHO on Threads. Let me go. Hang
Yeah,
on.
do you know anything about how, like, because you have to be around like the rodents and be exposed to their poop or something in order to be.
Right. Wait. Okay. Well,
And so it's very alarming. But yeah, it's got a 48%. If you get it, it's pulmonary. It gets in your lungs. It gets
like
in your
it's not
kidney.
cute. It's not a cute virus to get. You know. Okay, so this is from the WHO. It says hantaviruses are zoonotic viruses that naturally infect rodents and can occasionally spread to people. Here's what you need to know: what they are, how they spread, and the symptoms and how to prevent infection. Okay? Hantaviruses are a group of viruses that naturally infect some rodents and can occasionally infect people. Hantaviruses are present in some rodent species, mostly in the Americas, Europe, and Asia. The diseases vary by virus type and location. People usually get infected through contact and infected rodents or their urine, droppings, or saliva. Disgusting. Limited human to human transmission of this virus has been documented in some outbreaks. Early symptoms often feel like other common illnesses. When people do get sick, symptoms usually begin 1 to 8 1 to 8 weeks after exposure. That's a long incubation period. Okay, here are the common symptoms: fever, headache, muscle aches, stomach pain, nausea, and vomiting. While infections are rare, hantavirus can cause severe illness in some cases. Here's how to prevent it: keep living and workspaces clean, sealing openings where rodents can enter, storing food securely, using safe cleaning methods if rodent droppings are present. Dampen contaminated areas before cleaning and avoid dry sweeping or vacuuming rodent droppings. If you're vacuuming rodent droppings, ma'am. Anyway, early Jesus, early intensive and supportive care uh, by trained health workers makes a real difference in saving lives. There is no license specific antiviral treatment or vaccine for the hantavirus infection. Then it says, stay informed, stay protected. That's what the WHO tells us about hantavirus. Now, that does not really explain that this appears to be the strain that goes from human to human. I do expect that cruise ships sometimes have rodents, so it's not a surprise to me that someone might contract said thing from the rodents on the ship. Um, yeah, and like I said, there's only 7 people on this cruise of however many hundreds of people that
150.
are right that are sick. So, and I think we start to deal with, like, I don't know if you, I'm a person that watches like the outbreak movies. Like COVID happened and I was like, let me watch all of the virus movies and all of the virus shows. Flo was like, why would you do that to yourself? But because it was worse. Okay, like the movie Outbreak with like Dustin Hoffman and I think Morgan Freeman. I don't remember, some famous black dude is in it too, but I don't remember who it was. some famous black dude, okay, and a bunch of famous white people, okay. Anyway, that one went from a monkey to humans, and they got all bloody and like bled out of their faces, and it was a whole. Also, containment, my whole heart. There's also one with what's his name, Mark Wahlberg in Minnesota. Ironically, I watched that one too. Anyway, I've seen all of them. So here's the thing. I really when people are contained, when people are confined, a illnesses tend to spread faster, but b, much like we saw during COVID, there's like, what do they call it? Like, it's the mental illness that manifests into physicality, right? Like, you perceive that you have the symptom, right? Like, they said, oh, COVID is a sore throat, and then 20,000 people were like, I have a sore throat, I'm dying. Which was like, no, you don't even have a sore throat, girl. And I feel like we're going to see that happening on the ship a little bit. But that's really unfortunate that it's an 8-week incubation period. That's concerning. Those people are going to have to be in isolation for a minute. Anyway, this has been the update on hantavirus on May 6th, 2026. We'll let you know when it turns into a pandemic.
Well, one of the biggest pandemics that I see on the planet right now that's crazier than 7 people being sick on a ship of 150 rich bitches, because trust me, as a person who worked on cruise ships, people who go on cruises that only have 150 people on board are very rich people. They were going from South America, I think it was Argentina, up to the North Pole. People don't casually do that. I'm not saying that they deserve hantavirus because they got money. I'm just saying that, like, everybody ain't doing that. What a lot of people are struggling with today, and this is my topic to bring up, my first topic to bring up, is loneliness and mental health crisis. And people are more digitally connected than ever, yet anxiety, panic, isolation, burnout, and depression continues to rise, especially amongst creatives and young adults. And we serve a lot of creatives and young adults here in Love and Action Network. And every week I'm talking to people, not just in their 20s, late teens, early 20s, people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s who are struggling with feelings of loneliness, even if they're surrounded by a lot of people. I've often talked on the podcast very candidly about how I lived in New York City previously, surrounded by 9 million people, and still felt extremely lonely and afraid. And I want to let you all know today that connection is not the same thing as community. And visibility without belonging can create emotional exhaustion. Sometimes there's an emotional cost of always performing online. Tara and I are both, well, I'm more of a live streamer than she is. She presents online. I'm consistently on TikTok and Clubhouse doing my work in Love and Action every day. And it can weigh on you if you are not grounded and concrete in your why. And I think it's important that we continue to create spaces, and we're going to do this in Love and Action Network, where people feel emotionally safe. My question for you, Tara, as you tell Millie to calm down, the dog, I can read her lips because we've been collaborating partners for the last 5 years. Uh, what are you looking for, Tara, when you are trying to create an emotionally safe space?
Well, I think it's worth noting, or there's two things that I have in a response here. Number one, an emotionally safe space is not going to look the same for every single person. And I think it's important to recognize that, because as leaders, we're not going to be able to serve everyone, and that's okay. Like, if their definition of a safe space does not match with ours, there hopefully is another safe space that it does match with theirs, right? um and I think that when we get too varied in, like, I'm going to use the U+1 analogy moment, right? That, like, if you're having that feeling and you need to be served in that way and that is your need, there is at least one other person in the world that has the same need, right? And you can join mind and hand and whatever around that need. Yeah. So that's my first thing about safe spaces. I Okay, maybe I have three things. The second one is to remind us that, like, the difference between a movement and a cult, and to remind people that safe space doesn't necessarily mean that there's no disagreement. Like, I think that so much of loneliness is created because there's this perception that everyone in our space should agree 100% with us. And I even saw a video this morning that was, like, talking about black leftists and talking about how, like, so many leftists in general are talking about, like, a future space but not recognizing the present space, and how that's a very, like, it's a disconnect. And I think, once again, I think some of these, like, thought cult-like thoughts, for lack of a better term, sometimes are the replacement for belonging, and sometimes turn into the opposite of what's going to solve loneliness, which is exclusion, right? Um, and you can exist in in spaces that there's disagreement in, right? And still have a solve for your loneliness and still feel safe. Um, and ultimately, safety is given by who? Yourself, right? It comes from within. I'll mention here, I thought about bringing this video, but I didn't bring it. I saw this video from Lady Speech Sankofa last night or 2 nights ago, and I loved it. And she said all of your favorite people are problematic as fuck. And I was like, amen. Because all of your favorite people at the end of the day are human. And I think that sometimes when we look at community leaders and we look at people trying to create safe spaces, and we look at people trying to even create, like, safe discussions, right? Or safe conversational spaces, online or IRL, we have this perception that the leader is never going to be problematic, right? And so we pedestal that leader. And what happens in online spaces very frequently is that there's this necessity to build the leader up onto a pedestalization, and then to push them off, right? But everyone is problematic because everyone is human. And so I think those are the three things that I would say in terms of, like, how, like, what is emotional safety? Well, it's whatever emotional safety you're giving yourself, and the overflow goes into the community. It can be a small community that you surround each other with support in a specific need, while also being able to give a different perspective on how to heal, right? um, for instance, yesterday I came across someone that was saying they had a need for self-love, and one person had given them advice, and I said, yeah, those are great, and here are some other things, like the heart chakra, and, exploring that in terms of using affirmations for the self and loving yourself, and no bad parts, the things that I've picked up on in the quest to be not lonely inside of Love and Action Network, and specifically around Dr. Flo and Papi Wada. So, there's that. And then also just to remember that, like, and I think this one is the hardest for people. Like, there doesn't have to be hierarchy in every space. There just doesn't. Like, they're just it doesn't have to exist. We can have spaces where there is consensual, like, everybody is on a consent basis, everybody is on the same level, everybody is able to give their opinion, and everybody is able to heal differently while sitting in a safe space together. So yeah, I think I uh I guess the last thing that I would say, just like based on this slide and kind of, and this is just leading me. I'm speaking in draft, y'all. It's leading me to this idea of the 5 whys of loneliness, like, and I think it's the same for overwhelm. So last week in a space that I was in, someone was dealing with overwhelm, and the coach in the space took them sort of like through the 5 whys, or like the, like, what do you actually need, because overwhelm isn't, it's not a need, and are you actually overwhelmed or nah, right? And I think it's the same, like, are you actually lonely, or are you something else? And that's where I think the needs wheels come in, and like the emotional guidance scale, and also the emotions wheels that are all available on lovedandlovable.org. You just click on program resources, y'all. And I just like am leading to that of like, okay, if I'm feeling lonely, then I need to ask myself, like, what am I feeling lonely for? Right? Like, am I lonely because I haven't had water? Am I lonely because I need a snack? Am I lonely because I haven't had a hug in a day? Am I like, what am I lonely because I don't have community? Am I lonely because I'm not sitting with my art? Am I lonely because whatever, and then once you figure out that surface, right, you just keep going down and down and down. And once again, I think that's how we give ourselves safety in order to heal from the loneliness, right? So that was just the end that came up for me in draft. Thank you.
Amazing. Amazing. And also this understanding that in order to have community and in order to have safety, to your points, you're going to have to be vulnerable. If people don't know what your needs are, so a lot of people are walking around saying, I'm lonely, I'm upset, I'm worried, I'm depressed, anxious, panic, paranoid. The next question is, what do you need? And if you don't feel
What do you need,
vulnerable enough
girl?
to actually express your need, then no one can help you either find people to meet the need or meet the need themselves. And that's why we say that vulnerability is a revolutionary act. And someone online earlier this week on Threads was like, I'm not following you if you're not a revolutionary. And I'm like, get to know me better, because I'm a very vulnerable person. Often in our network, people know way more about me than I know about them. And
It's
that's
true.
my protest. Showing up and telling you about the things that I'm going through in my life, and being vulnerable and showing my flowery side and my shadow. Like when I told that guy on TikTok earlier in the week that he could shut the fuck up. I was in the midst of a prayer room. This love is for these people, but you can shut the fuck up. That's revolutionary work. And it's going to help us get through the loneliness and be real about speaking up about our mental health issues. And all of us have mental health issues in this overwhelmed society full of bombardment.
Right. Okay. And no, it's not the price of ice. It's the it's like ice, the bullies, and gas prices.
Yeah,
Okay.
we found that they have ice locally here in Savannah at the Dollar Tree. So you
Yes.
can get
Also, did you know that you can get at Wendy, at least as far as last summer, you can get a bag of ice at Wendy's for $1. Anyway,
like how big of a bag?
I don't remember. It not a very big bag, but $1.
Some
Eight
people are
pounds.
protesting Wendy's right now because they support MAGA candidates.
Okay.
You tell that to
Well,
my junior bacon cheeseburger.
right. Tell that to my spicy nugs. Okay. Anyway, next slide, because I think I have some headlines. I do have headlines. Look at me. Look at me. Okay. So from CBS News Atlanta, this was from 2 days ago. A man in ICE custody died last week at a South Georgia detention facility. Um, his name was Denny Aiden Gonzalez. He was 33, Cuban national, and was found unresponsive in his cell at the Stewart Detention Center on April 28th. And I believe that makes like into the into the teens of people that have died since the beginning of this year and over the last year in ICE detention centers. I believe we're getting close to 40 people that have died in ICE detention. So I just wanted to raise that as like ICE is still, even if we're not seeing them on the streets, and even if it seems like rapid response teams are pretty quiet, there are still people in ICE detention, including children. The Dilley detention facility in Texas, which is horrendous conditions, is still open. So I'm just flagging that as like
There's
we still
active
have,
harm.
right, there is concentration camps existing in the United States. And they haven't, like, I mean, listen, reservations, folks, like Native American reservations, those are also concentration camps. But we're not going to talk about that today. But yesterday was missing, murdered and missing Indigenous Women's Day or something like that. Um, and that's flagging that, like, how many Indigenous women are murdered and or go missing, and it's never investigated. Like it's a very large sum, and it's never investigated because reservations are quote unquote autonomous, and so oftentimes these women are going missing in between the reservation and where the state or the federal government have authority, and so it's never investigated by the reservation because it's not under uh, their land, and it's also not technically under state land, which is just very strange that we're doing that whole shebang. Um, and there are movies about this, y'all. Like, anyway, that's, once again, they have existed forever, but also there are new detention centers and concentration camps that are literally causing harm today. Okay, and then the last thing is the Iran stuff that's going on. Essentially, this says this. I took a picture of this morning. It says oil plunges, um, market surge on reports U.S. and Iran near deal to end war as gas prices jump past $4.50. It says that Iran did not confirm that a deal was close, though its Navy said Wednesday morning that with aggressors' threats neutralized and new protocols in place, safe, stable passage through the Strait of Hormuz will be ensured. So it seems like there's movement. The last movement that I heard was that Trump rejected a ceasefire, or rejected a peace deal. Um, so it is what it is. And I think, like we saw with COVID, I I think people really want, sorry y'all, I'm speaking in draft, so I'm trying, like, I think people want the pressure to be alleviated in terms of money. And I understand it because I also would like that. However, I think we have learned that during COVID and even since like 9/11, the prices aren't going to go back down. And I think I think they're going to go back down a little bit, but are prices going to go back to below $3 for gas? No, right? They're going to stay high due to inflation. They're going to stay high because because the government wants them to stay high to make sure that people are so busy with work that they don't have time to protest. They don't have time to fight the government. They don't have time to even
Greed.
think back. Right. They want us so roped in the hamster wheel that we don't have time to do things like this. And so I'm just flagging that as like, yeah, it would be great if this conflict ended, and I don't think we should expect eggs to be back below $2 right? I don't think we should expect beef to be back below $7 a pound. Like, I think that that is commonplace, and I think we need to band together and find a way to exist under what is, right? Because we can plead and plead and plead and plead and plead for it to stop, but the reality is that it hasn't stopped for at least the last 25 years. So we might as well figure out how to help each other underneath the things that are happening. So that's what I got there.
And because good exists in the world, I'm going to say this two more times to the people in the back, because good exists in the world, because good exists in the world, and because good people exist in the world, we can count on people that have more than us to roll their financial wealth downhill to support our causes. By the way,
Mm-hmm.
Love and Action Network is looking for a major donor and mega sponsor, a major mega MAGA. I would take the MAGA money.
I would take the money. I'm just saying. I don't.
I would do something good with it. I would do a bunch.
Right. I'm not
I got a
opposed.
bunch of look. The color's green. The dead presidents are the dead presidents are the dead presidents. Like I've been saying for months on the podcast, it's not about escaping this prison called capitalism or capitalism that we're all in. It's about figuring out how to dance in the courtyard of said prison and have the best Wednesday, May the 6th, that you could possibly have.
Right.
As above, so
Right.
below. And
Oh, we lost your audio.
it sucks that ICE wants to terrorize people and that they want to gouge us at the gas tank and create panic and paranoia. A lot of people are going to stay at jobs that they don't like because they don't feel like they can escape it, because how am I going to get gas and how am I going to live a happy life? We're going to have to emancipate ourselves from that mental slavery and continue to move towards being our own version of happy. Every generation before us had buffoons. And some people lived happy lives under buffoons, and some people didn't. Get in where you can fit in.
Right.
But fuck ICE always.
Always.
Speaking of panic and paranoia and fear, I want to talk about this idea that a lot of you have when you see my one boob gown with my hair off
Angie
the
said that
side.
dress was trash. She said.
With AI expansion happening and accelerating across education, business, media, entertainment, it's creating a fear around jobs, identity, and artistic value. And I want to let you all know today, through the Love and Action lens, that technology can amplify humanity, but it cannot actually replace your soul. And I think that we found this to be true over our last 5 years of working together. No matter what people say, no matter how they try to act about how I'm constantly pinging and constantly dinging and constantly letting people know what's happening within the network and inviting them to this open office hours, inviting them to this prayer group, and inviting them to this networking call. No matter what you all try to shade me about or ignore me about, uh, authentic human presence, which is one of the best things that we provide here, is actually becoming premium. Like Poppy, my partner, my life partner, tells me all the time, those of us who can bring loving presence to the world through Terra Paolo Studio, Love City Arts Academy, the Love City Arts Group, Love and Action Network, private coaching, those of us who can bring presence to the world after the last 20 years of what we went through, we're going to be the millionaires of the future. And the future actually belongs to emotionally intelligent creators. Here's what AI cannot replicate about your humanity. AI cannot replicate your testimony. AI cannot replicate your pain. AI cannot replicate your spirit, your embodiment, your lived experience. And this is why I'm encouraging artists of all walks and creative people of all walks to become community builders, not just content creators. It's one thing to put a reel up or a post up or a carousel up to try to get attention and to get people to like you. It's another thing to build spaces where people can have tears well up in their eyes. You know, all this week, coaching multiple people, they've started to weep in my presence. And I've been like, it's okay to cry. Like, who taught you that it's not okay to cry? And there's a difference between automation and transformation. There's a profound difference between automation and transformation. And you got to know it. You got to know it for yourself. Do you feel that you're about to be replaced by AI any day now, Paolo?
No, I think you all have seen some of my AI journey going on this podcast over the last 18 months or so. And I think, quite frankly, most people's reaction to AI is fear at first. Unless you get the AI, you happen to get the AI slop first, and then maybe you giggle a little bit. But I also want to remind people that, like, or ask people, who is this statement serving? Like, who does it serve for us to believe that AI is going to replace us? Who does it serve for us to believe as sopranos that there's always another soprano to replace us? Who does it serve for us to believe that if we make one mistake at our stupid ass 9-to-5 job, that we're replaceable? Who does it serve? Because at the end of the day, the same people are served by this statement as when we make the statements about the AI data centers, right? When we're busy infighting each other about use of AI instead of talking about the people that are actively making our lives harder to live, right? And I don't think, and once again, Flo and I were talking about this the other day, and I think Fiona Flight, who's sort of a mutual human in the network, she's my coach, she had said in a post that, like, one of the things about AI that is important as artists, and I think as just humans, is that, like, your energetic frequency has to be high enough that it's not just like the computer talking for you. But as Flo said, like, truly, AI doesn't know anything about you. It only knows the things that you feed it. Right. And that's why, like, sometimes we get the dress with the weird boob and things, like it's AI hallucinating, because Flo probably did not say, put me in a white dress with a weird boob. You know what I mean?
I told us that Dr. Flo singing. No, Dr. Flo announces new single coming, Joy Overflowing. It was like, what is a Dr. Flo?
Right. So, like, I don't have any concern. First of all, my art form, like my actual, like, the thing people pay me the most for that I never talk about, which is like actual singing, opera singing, okay? That is acoustic singing. A computer cannot do that. So I have no concerns about my career being replaced. I also know that several of my students use AI to help them read their music and to help them use to learn their music, right? And I don't find that to be a problem, because they are still in my studio actively engaging in our humanity collectively, right? Like, AI is not replacing me. It's amplifying, if anything, right? It's allowing for my students to have greater access. It's allowing for me to dig into Black composers. It's allowing for me to pull people in and have those discussions. It's allowing, like, quite honestly, y'all, like, AI is also becoming a phone book. Like, some of y'all don't think about this. Some of y'all don't think about this, but sometimes businesses are getting known because they're showing up in the AI overview, right? And so I think that there's like AI is a tool. It is a tool. And you can choose to use the tool or not, but it's not going to replace your humanity, regardless of if you're using it or not. So that's, and again, who does it serve for you to believe that?
As we talked about before on the pod, the AI has created opportunity for those of us who said we never had a budget. Now, think about how much money I would have wasted with my omni boob or solo boob experience, you know? And I got the most likes and engagement from being ridiculous.
Beautiful gowns, man. Beautiful
Beautiful,
gowns.
beautiful gals. And so just let your freedom out. Uh, to me, AI are the crayon boxes of the future. I hate that people have the sound of helicopters happening in their backyard because the data centers are moving in. They're going to have to invest in a pair of noise canceling headphones.
Right. Well, and like, I just, I, who does it serve for us to infight about it? Does it make the data center go away? Like, they gonna build it anyway, girl, and they're gonna build it whether or not you're using it, and they're gonna build it whether or not you're shaming other people for using it. They're gonna build it whether or not you like everything that Chat GPT gives you. They're like, they gonna build the data center. It might be for Meta, not AI, but they gonna build the data centers. So how are we going to survive? Once again, leftists very commonly are the ones that are living outside of what is now. And that's okay. We need people visioning. We need to vision beyond. I vision beyond. And I very much know there's a data center. Well, actually, I think Minnesota passed a bill that was like no more data centers in Minnesota, but I don't, anyway, it doesn't matter. I live in Minnesota. So if there's a data center built near me, okay, what am I going to do about that? How am I going to help my neighbors? Right? Because the data center is going to get built because the money is green. So how am I going to help my neighbors stay healthy? Right? How am I going to make sure that we get clean water? How am I going to make, like, how am I going to get into the repercussions of the data center instead of whinging about it even being built? That doesn't solve anything. There's no solution there. That's just complaining. That's just complaining. The things that are happening are happening. What are you doing about them? How are you caring for yourself? How are you caring for your neighbors? And how are you caring for your communities?
Because AI ain't coming to feed nobody. The AI ain't coming to give nobody a bottle of water.
She ain't growing no food, girl.
She ain't growing no food. She's not giving a hug. I've never been hugged by the AI.
Not yet.
Have I been hugged by some robotic human beings? Oh, yes. But I've never been hugged by the AI. That has to come from humanity. And
Right.
I think that sometimes we discredit how awesome it is to have hit the jackpot to manifest as an autonomous human being. And we start giving our power over to these think tanks and people that want us to be afraid of our great I am.
Yes. Um, Spirit has no more great I am. If you missed it,
Ah,
uh, um, over the weekend, Friday into Saturday, Spirit Airlines, she closed up shop. They just locked them doors. They said there are no flights tomorrow, and 17,000 people got fired. Okay. I think I have a headline on the next page. Maybe. Yeah, Spirit Airlines lawyer says jet fuel price surge left carrier with no remaining way out of bankruptcy. Creditor objections killed a proposed $500 million Trump administration bailout, the airline's lawyer told bankruptcy court. So essentially, Spirit she's been limping along for years, Trow. The thing I will say about Spirit is it was a budget airline. And so it did allow those that did not have as much affluence in society to travel. And that is unfortunate because literally Delta the next day, the day it happened, I guess. So Saturday, Delta was like, we're going to offer discounted tickets to those who had Spirit tickets, and we're going to add on flights. Like we're going to add on whatever those are called, flight paths, right? That were similar to Spirit. But then Monday, Delta said, but we're stopping food and drink service for flights under 350 miles or something like that. Or free, I should say, free service. And so that's, there's always anyway, over the years, mostly I just heard complaints about Spirit. Okay. I never flew Spirit. I don't even know how long she was around, girl. I remember the day she was introduced.
33 years.
Okay. Well, long time. There's also a TikTok campaign. If any of you are interested, there's some dude on TikTok that's trying to get enough money to buy Spirit. I think that's weird. I'm gonna let that, like, anyway, he wants to bring it back. Okay. And I'm just like, part of the problem is that we're allowing for all these rich people to continue to rip us off. Like, we could all just not fly for a day. We could, not work for a day. Anyway, but we're scared of that. And I understand that. I understand why. Once again, we talked about this earlier. Like, I understand. I get it. But yeah, so this is a situation where now there are no budget flights, and there will probably be decreased movement of people in poverty, which, according to statistics, is primarily Black and brown people, which some people are taking personal offense to on the interwebs. I'm sort of like, we don't have to be poor. We're only as poor as we allow our mindset to be. So that's how I feel about that. Anyway, rest in peace to Spirit Airlines.
Yeah, this morning, Poppy was in the tub and he was like, they're trying to trap us. And I was like, where are you trying to go?
Right. I don't feel trapped. I don't feel any more trapped than I did Friday.
Right. Our ancestors literally would have to get on like a horse and buggy and like go where they wanted to go.
And before that, like they was walking the land bridge, girl, with the mammoths. Like,
no one's trapped. No one's trapped.
Like, if we wanted to go, and if The Walking Dead were to happen, okay, we'd be walking because the gas runs out. Okay.
They don't. Yeah, nobody brings it to you.
Like, girl, you ain't.
Shout out to interdependence.
Right. Like, you gonna have to get on those 2 feet, and you're gonna have to walk. Okay. To escape the zombies. So if that happens, and the grid shuts down or something, y'all seen War of the Worlds? When the lightning comes down and all the cars go off and they can't get the cars to start and they all gotta. Girl, you gotta watch some disaster movies, folks. This is the thing about the things that you don't know about Tara is that Tara watches every disaster movie. every single one. And I love all of them because what are you going to do aside from walk, hide, and find a way to grow a garden? It's a good thing you all know someone that grows fantastic gardens. In fact, my onions came back up on their own.
Oh my gosh. Listen, we've been talking a lot today about the economic anxiety that's happening in the world and the cost of survival. People are overwhelmed. If they don't have onions coming up on their own, people are overwhelmed by inflation, housing costs, debt, instability, and fear of recession. And here's a fact: people do not just need money, they need dignity, support, strategies, and hope. And I know that your financial trauma has led you to emotional paralysis and that many creatives feel ashamed of struggling. But we're going to have to get into a space of having community economics and mutual aid, building sustainable creative ecosystems, creating what Tara and I have done. We have opportunity pricing. Oh, there we go.
This is my onion.
Behold the onions. In
Behold the
addition to
onion.
the in addition to the onions, we have opportunity pricing and accessible education, and we're really going to have to help people monetize their gifts without losing themselves. Uh, do you think that compassion centered entrepreneurship and business building can help people cure their economic anxiety?
Um, yes. The short answer is yes. The a longer answer is that once again, like, yes, we can have a foot in the present. Yes. Yeah, I'm not denying that the economy sucks right now, y'all. Like the economy is trash. Everything's expensive. It is getting tighter and tighter to live. And I don't remember what it was. Oh, it was the Supreme Court decision, which I don't even think I brought. Maybe I brought it last week. I don't think I brought it. Or maybe it wasn't Supreme Court. No, it was Supreme Court. The Voting Rights Act, right? This thing about the Voting Rights Act. Y'all, once again, like they can only control us as long as we believe in the thing they're trying to control. And so for me, like, yeah, as a millennial, it's like I feel like we were taught like don't go into too much debt, but then thrown into college and getting hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loans, right? That are predatory. Um, and yeah, I personally have virtually no intention of like paying off all my debt before I die. Um, and I also think that like the care model is also caring for our beliefs and caring for our quantum field work and caring for our visioning on Fridays, that like we can survive this together, right? I do think that one of the most difficult things in business and one of the most difficult things in like the current society is trusting that there are people with money that are going to pay, and also trusting that the people that don't have the money aren't going to take advantage. And um yeah, so I think opportunity pricing and all that stuff is awesome. I think not enough business owners offer it. And I think there's a lot of business owners that get scared of it because it's like, well, what if everybody only pays $25? Then I have to find 100 people to survive. Well, the good news is there's 9 billion people on the earth. you know, um, the bad news is, yeah, maybe you will need more. But once again, like I think that there's so much, there's just so much fear. Like, why do people charge absorbent amounts of money. Like, why does a college charge what they charge, girl? Um, it is because there is a fear of going under, like Spirit Airlines, you know? And so, like, just, I think that people often overcharge and undervalue. Um, and I think that's a problem that we need to talk about, you know? Um, yeah, yeah. I don't know what that is. One of my dogs is snoring.
And just like that, we got a podcast. We are calling always for ceasefire in our hearts and our minds and our overall energy as it relates to being an adult here. I'm in the 40s crowd, Tara's in the 30s crowd. We are in the army now, and nobody wants to be fighting with y'all online all day. We want to build something. Now is the time for that. If you're interested in building, you can tap into our network at lovedandlovable.org, lovedandlovable.org, lovedandlovable.org to learn about what we're doing on the planet. And lately, these days on TikTok in the mornings, we've been lighting our prayer candles and getting our energy grounded for the day ahead. You could go through the day in chaos and confusion and madness, or you can choose to just anchor yourselves, still your energies, and then move forward with a balanced approach. And we would love to assist you in finding grounding and purpose and belonging in your life. If you want to tap into our programs, we got Adopt a Black Artist program and Creative Access Partner program available, where we're checking in with people pretty much every day to make sure that they're okay, living their dreams and manifesting it with purpose and on purpose. We've also got daily peer support happening on Clubhouse and TikTok. Follow our broadcast channel and also our official membership, which I need to still do that attendance for. If you would like to check in daily as it relates to love and hope. If you are interested in having people support you in your dreams from an administrative perspective, Love City Arts Group is here to support you. And Tara may put you on her wait list so that she can have sustainability as it relates to feeding 2 children, 2 dogs, a husband, and herself. On the flip side of maternity leave, but you can tap in with her and what she's offering over at tarapraolo.com. And also, we've got 3 new websites: lovedandlovable.org, lovecityarts.net, and askdrflo.com if you want to learn more about who I am. Some people have been confused online about who I am and what I offer. I am more than willing to let you know what I've been up to for the last 30 years. It's been quite the adventure, and now I'm sharing that adventure with the world and teaching people how to smoothly and easily have a dream of their own. I'm also hiring locally and globally for Dr. Flo and the Love Experience to bring these 50 plus songs that I've written to life to encourage, equip, and empower people to live their wildest dream. What a thrill! What a thrill! There's AI me in the future, quantum field awareness. Tara also has announcements for you starting now.
Yes, yes. I have the Liberated Voice Practice, which we are focusing in on the membership community and the async community, because I am going on maternity leave and I can support those 2 tiers more than I can the hybrid and private lesson tiers. Although those will be coming back in September, October timeframe, depending on if you are virtual or in person. I also have my album, I Dream a World. Thank you to the 6 of you who purchased last week during the drive. Is super, super appreciated. We made almost $100 last week. And yeah, um, go listen, take a listen. I have a reel to post about it today. And then I have the I Dream a World archive project, uh, where I'm having people answer or complete the ends of the sentence, which will hopefully eventually grow into some other things. There are, of course, always other things happening at TPS, but once again, you can follow at Tara Priolo Studio on Instagram and follow the Yellow Brick Road to get into that information. Yeah. Yes, yes.
Any closing thoughts today?
Love and action, blah, blah, blah. um, I just, I, I think I just want to center once again that like we are, like where two or three are gathered. You know, like you, we are so powerful individually, together. Like we are so powerful, and so much of what we experience online and so much of what's going on in the world makes us feel very powerless. And I just encourage you to center your power every single day and go out and tell your story. Let it echo far and wide. Make them hear you.
Make them hear you.
There you go.
My closing thought today is that it is a thrill to live a life of service. If you put yourself into a career path or a vocation or an organization that allows you to serve others, those of us who are really into service and enjoy it know that it's a thrill to see other people come alive and awaken and live their truth. And as a person who has lived a lot of amazing experiences and continues to live amazing experiences, it's a thrill to be able to share that joy and that love and that hope. And I hope that you felt a bit of that in the midst of all of our newscasting with the uh,
It's the beater of the mixer. You know, the one thing, here's another closing thought. One of my favorite things about having a toddler, which I'm going to be honest, is like being a parent to a toddler is hard, is much harder than what I remember having an infant. Anywho, um, one of the things that I love about having a toddler is the newest feature. Here's your mom update for the day. The newest feature is that I can say, Piper, are you okay? And Piper says, "K." So I don't even have to like go check because I get an answer, which is a wonderful experience. But the second thing that I very much enjoy about having a toddler is that they find everything that you haven't seen for the last 10 years. Okay? So this relates to the mixer, okay? Because my mixer, I don't use it very often, friends. I use it maybe once every 3 years to mix together an angel food cake, okay? Uh, However, this morning my child decided that they would like to play with the mixing bowl. And inside the mixing bowl, wouldn't you know, there was a kneading attachment that I did not know existed. I have had this mixer for 10 years and thought I didn't have a kneading attachment. So I have been kneading all of my sourdough bagels, my bread when I make it. Like I've been kneading it all by hand, my friends. And now I know that, in fact, there is a kneading attachment because my toddler somehow found it. And on that note, that has been your mom update from the mixer and the beater and my 2-year-old.
stay in your power, stay in your